What we don't have to wait and see is the craziness that Elon Musk is creating in our U.S. government today. So I don't think we should spend too much time on this. The relevance to a CIO is just, especially if you do any business with a government, be on guard, I guess. But it's been kind of nuts. I don't know if you've been following this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do find it wild that he is going into the treasury system and social security data, basically with a small team of people, and he's been able to access whatever he wants. It doesn't seem like there's any government restrictions to what he can access. And I guess a couple of things that come to mind for me are first, how easy it seems to be that at the end of the day, the challenges of getting all of this data on American citizens and residents was really compliance based and based on having air gapped systems and the human basis of compliance. It wasn't a technical issue at all, at least not at first glance. I do wonder, and we're not getting this kind of detail, how challenging it is to work with these COBOL-based systems when the programmers and developers that Musk is working with seem to be pretty young. So I wish almost that, although I'm not a super big fan of what's happening, that I were a fly on the wall and being able to see how are they figuring out what's in there. Like, are they using generative AI and hoping to retro all the COBOL into something that they understand, or are they finding some way to get around that?
Well, I think the big issue is we don't understand what the end game is. We don't even
Mhm.
understand what they're really trying to achieve. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, from an access standpoint, I think you're probably a little bit reacting harder than I am to it, mostly because I mean, whether we agree with this or not, he is operating with the implicit approval of the president, which means theoretically they can do whatever they want from that regard. To me, what I'm really watching, we started talking a little bit about this with the Doge and the rebranding of the U.S. Digital Office. I think that's what it's called.
Mhm.
And to me the big issue is that he Musk is clearly following the playbook that he used at Twitter, where the resignation offers, or the what is it called, the whatever, the offers that if you resign your position you get the bonus and whatever. And the issue is on the one hand, it certainly had a positive impact in terms of reducing the bloat and cost of Twitter, but it also has resulted in them not making any money and losing a lot of relevance. And it's like, is that really the playbook we should be following here? And I think the stakes are so much higher. I mean, Twitter, while it was important, it was also just, a social media site. I mean, this is stuff that affects millions and millions of people in a very real way, and it's incredibly complex. The underlying components of what we're talking about, the underlying reason why there's all this complexity, um, there's a whole lot to it. And so this blunt force sort of approach that they both seem to be taking, um, scares me a bit. And I think it's, the big question again is, if I'm a CIO, what I'm looking at is how much uncertainty does this create? How much volatility does this generate in the market? And I think if at the very least you should be, as you look at your strategic planning, how do you add additional risk factors here to try to give yourself some hedges? Because I think we're going to see more of it.
Yeah, my biggest concern is that, frankly, Musk and his team do not have the security clearances associated with the data that they are targeting. And if that was an assumption that you were making in working with the government, that assumption has to change, and any other compliance and governance issues that affect your company on a global basis have to change as a result as well. I do wonder a little bit as well. Elon has that PayPal background as well. Now, obviously, he understands what payments are, and Social Security and the $6 trillion in Treasury payments have to be an interesting target for him to potentially look at and try to modernize. So I wonder if we'll see anything around that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've read a couple of reports that are super nefarious, that he's trying to stop payments to competitors and a bunch of other stuff. And I am for the moment giving him the benefit of the doubt that this is at least not that, this is at least a true, if misguided, from my opinion, attempt to transform the government in some way, which, as we talked about last week, is necessary. There's a lot of reason to fix things. I'm not, I'm certainly not sitting here and saying that there isn't stuff to be fixed. As someone who's done pretty significant project work within government agencies, I mean, there's some huge messes, but I still think we need a much more nuanced, deliberate approach rather than the sort of bull in the china shop kind of model that seems to be. But I guess we'll have to see how that plays out.